where it's like,
Right.
I try to bring this talking point up where you have a lot of people, especially in our time, talk about stuff like, oh, eggs, milk, groceries are expensive, but they can't really give you,
Yeah.
say, examples of their prices and compare them to, say, the other person in the podcast room's fucking prices. So, like, here's a good idea. How much is a carton of milk where you work?
Carton of milk can be like, $8.76. You know,
Yeah. For
8.76
me,
carton.
it's $1.79 a carton.
Jeez.
So, like, do you see what I'm saying here? Where, like,
Yeah.
I've never heard this question asked on a fucking podcast before. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? And, like, that is fucking blowing my mind. But again, this is something that we need to draw attention to. Like, if you're gonna solve
Yeah.
any nationwide problem, it's not gonna happen
Yeah.
through, to be honest, government revolution or anything. It's actually like looking at the problems at the nation and focusing on it. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
sad because again,
See,
your milk's $8. That's what the fuck?
yeah.
$8 a carton,
Yep.
dude? I've never heard of that shit. Not once in my entire place. Like, that is crazy. But that's the thing, because nobody's fucking talking about it.
Price
But they'll sit
gouging.
here and whine and say, oh, it's like this, but they can't give you the example. Like, thank you for giving me that example. But this is why
Yeah.
there's people that disagree. You see what I mean? Because there's people who
Mm-hmm.
live in areas where milk's only like $1.79 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
But then you
other
also-
people who pay $8 and they just don't fucking talk about it. Sorry. It is interesting.
No, you're good. You're good. But I was just gonna say that like a big issue with that is again, it's actually capitalism, because we just got a new union contract, and the new union contract just told everybody that every 6 months you're supposed to get a 50-cent raise. Okay, we've accumulated actually more in profits. As my company, we've actually increased in profits of like several margins. Okay, like this is department managers like straight up like just showing me the paperwork of like sometimes department can make anywhere between like $10,000 to $12,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? Like very, very easily. And that's just like one particular department. We're not going to talk about like, the other departments like, meat and like dairy that makes way more than just like, selling fish. You know what I'm saying? And it's like every single month
there is a
we have
byproduct
inventory.
of capitalism that is like really powerful monopoly. We've seen this in U.S.
Yeah.
history before. Now, the thing I've been picking up on, because I notice patterns. That's just something I do. It's something humans do, monkeys do. The patterns that like I've seen growing up is like, well, we talked about the Rockefellers. We talked about, the fucking all those guys. I don't know them by name, but some of the big name monopolies that have existed throughout American history. And there has been federal laws and breakups of monopolies before, and we saw it actually happen recently. The government did just break up one company. I forget exactly. It was Google, wasn't it? Bandit, you want to check us on that? I'm pretty sure it was Google though, but I'm gonna keep going unless you says something else.
I'll take a look.
But fucking Google, literally, like, they got broken up by the United States, which is that's fair, because capitalism is great at a balance. But that's what communism as an economic function offers a competitor to, especially when you have disparity as what we see it now. Like, you do see communism like popping up. Like, there again, the right does like to say we're in a second Red Scare. Oh my God, you know what I mean?
Africa's going red day by day. Africa, there's a new nation, Africa, going red, and it's simply because of the fact that these are people that are like going through. Because I'm pretty sure you've heard of Mali, Burkina Faso. These are people that, like, again, the French have came over and established their own like sort of their
little triad
capitalistic
of fucking bullshit.
Name ECOWAS. It's an economic order that they have. It's their own economic plan that they have for the Africans, where it's like, they get all their lithium, and then in return they get like, a little bit of payment in return. And a lot of Africans, which we were hearing back like 2 years ago, right, We're all saying, how come we have the most expensive resources in the world? The French are actively coming in, mining up our lithium and our gold, and yet we're still the poorest nations. We have
Yeah.
capitalism here. Why are we still poor if capitalism is supposed to bring in money?
Well, it's because, they're being parented around by another government. They're not really
Yeah.
getting a full, like the thing is like
Mm-hmm.
America and capitalism in America clearly works like for America. Like it's already solidified. And the thing is that you need to have the thing of the check. If you don't have the check, it doesn't work. And this was taught to me in social studies class throughout learning about monopolies, which I can guarantee you learned that as well in school. And
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
like, again, like the checks and balances just aren't here. Whereas with communism, again, there's no middle class. So like this idea
Yeah.
of a wealth disparity only exists in
Yeah.
specific, from what I've gathered,
Areas
specific areas.
because you have to figure like communists abolish a lot of the the contradictions that actually come in with capitalism, because again, one of the first things Marx pretty much identified was that there's an immediate antagonism between working people and of that of people who don't work, of like the capitalists. Okay, so it's
Yeah.
like with this amount of like complete wealth that these working people are able to provide, that funding goes into the social programs that basically take cares of the basic needs that they have. That's why, like, you can go to the doctor anytime you want to. I've even read on a forum post of a Reddit guy. I need to go, bring him up. I'd be happy to, have this discussion with you the next time, because I'll be more than happy to name drop him. He has a whole blog post on
Oh yeah.
his times of being a Soviet man in the 80s. And the 80s was considered the downfall, the kind of decline of the Soviet Union. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And
Gorbachev.
he discussed. Yeah, he kind of discussed of how, like, his family member had a heart surgery and the state organized that for them free of charge. There was no, oh, if I get in this ambulance ride I might die. There's accounts that even a village home costs that of just a everyday TV set that we would buy. You know what I'm saying? And it's mainly because people are like, oh, well, these people aren't getting any real kind of like, economic wealth. They're not buying these expensive cars, and they're not being able to get these fine things. But the average American isn't understanding that, like, we have a system that is able to provide these luxuries for these people. They work hard as shit and they're still not able to achieve them ever. So why does
Yeah.
it matter
Yeah.
if you're able to ride in a Bugatti or not? Whereas like people in Eastern Europe, for example, were happy enough just to get a free home. The only thing they had to pay was utilities. Children's programs were free. Public transportation was great. There really wasn't even much of an incentive for people to
Mhm.
go out and buy cars, simply because of the fact that the public transportation system was on par. You
Well,
could
okay,
go
so
anywhere in the
okay,
Soviet
so
Union.
kind of like a little thing here.
Yeah.
America is massive. I
Yeah,
mean, so is
absolutely.
Russia.
Massive and
So is
underdeveloped.
Russia. So is Russia. That's why
It took time.
communism
It took time.
took. That's why communism kind of choked out in Russia, because it's just so big. It's like what we've noticed here is like clearly there's a disparity, and like I know this because again where I live is like is surrounded by people like exactly who you're saying, they
Yeah.
like hardworking men that have no history, no, they will never be put down in a record, you will never hear their name, but they feed you every day, you know what I mean, they're out
Oh
there
my
working until the
goodness.
fucking sun goes down and shit.
Oh, they feed the
So
nation. They
and
feed the nation.
it is sad to see like that there are some people that like, but there's a lot of people who like this lifestyle, they live this is their life, they love it because they have purpose and
Mm-hmm.
shit. But again,
Yeah.
what I Bandit, did you get anything on Google yet? Because if like if we actually have people like in our government trying to
Yeah, I have.
break, okay, what is it, what's the word on this shit?
So it seems like according to this page I'd seen, the U.S. Department of Justice is only considering a federal judge break up Google after ambiguous search engine was declared as an illegal monopoly.
Huh. Okay, so
That's
This is
what
okay.
the government is breaking Google for.
Okay, so this is like what they threatened Disney with back in the day too. They're just threatening Google. They're not even actually breaking it up, are they? No.
I mean,
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, that's sad. That's annoying because as of right now, I do think that we are established in a monopoly. Like we live in an American monopolized version of capitalism. The reason that I say it is
absolutely.
because you are bringing to light a massive wealth disparity, a massive disparity on price of
Yep.
goods and essential needs.
hmm
And like this is something that again I don't hear a lot of people even addressing who have a platform
hmm
or have a fucking anything. It's like if we're gonna really again like talk about this kind of you can't have capitalism being abused because like that's what leads to a communist revolution legitimately.
Absolutely, because here's the thing, it is that a lot of right wingers don't understand is that they even try to call Kamala Harris a communist, and it's like Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris is actually a big time bourgeoisie, okay? She actually owns private establishments of her own that generates her own capital, okay? She's not out
Yeah.
here like doing some revolutionary like big wage changes or things of this order, and she's not even actually expressing any kind of Marxian ideology whatsoever. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we live in a place where like, you know, what we would consider communist, right? What we would consider as like communist ideology or like communist implementation of policies, to a European, that just sounds like moderate.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
social, like you know what I'm saying? Like what sounds crazy to us is to other people that actually like live next to communists. By the way, like they had
Yeah.
a giant nation
And fascism
of
and like
communists.
actual
Yeah,
fascism
yeah,
and shit. Yeah.
yeah. That like free healthcare to them sounds like, oh, that's just a normal everyday thing. Whereas like here, you bring that to a right winger, they try to come up with 10 reasons why you shouldn't go get a fucking flu shot, because it's like you getting a free
Yeah.
flu shot is gonna somehow make our government go to like some type of commie phase, and like, you know, and now before you know it, because everyone is getting free knee replacements, that like all of a sudden we're starting to turn to a communist society, because these are the things that, you know, that we could potentially be paying for, but yet they won't complain until it's actually happening, that billions of dollars of our tax-paying money is going to the military-industrial complex, where the media manufactures a boogeyman for us to go invade, to use these weapons to
Yeah,
generate
dude.
more capital for
Yeah.
these companies. We
And
don't have a problem with that,
here,
you know?
no, well, actually, you do, you know, that's what I got to give to the right, especially the modern right now, is that they are complete,
Yeah.
like, against the idea of the military industrial complex, the mega media complex, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You know what I mean?